Hey doing everyone, welcome back. Well, as you can see, I am in a new location today. Still my house, but I decided to put this hutch behind me because I was trying to sit over here. There's a window right there, but the lighting is awful. It's great lighting, don't get me wrong, but not for recording. It made me so dark that you couldn't even see me, right? So, I looked like basically a shadow. And, I was recording over there, that way, uh, in front of the windows. And, that was actually, there's better light in there. But I decided to move in here. Basically just experimenting with places to record. And then, out on the deck, which is, you can kind of see it right there. But my recording spot was over there, out the door, and over there, right? So, anyway, not that that really tells you anything, but, yeah, here I am in a new recording spot. And I'm actually going to try to adjust just a little bit here. There we go. Try to keep that picture up there in the frame, and maybe, I don't know, figure out how to, put the whole hutch in here, as wide as it is. And maybe even try to figure out how to get some stuff over here in the frame. Oh, well, whatever. I guess the best way to do that would be to go that way, right? See, there's a clock over there. Oh. Some pictures on the wall that you can't really see. But anyway, I didn't come here to talk about recording in this location and experimenting with places to record. I'm sorry, my hair is distracting me the way it sticks out like that. But I'm growing it so I can donate it. And it's at that awkward phase right now where you can't really do much of anything with it. Can't tie it back, and you can't contain it under a hat. And it's just, if I take my hat off, I guess that's not so bad, but, I don't know. Hats are just comfortable to me, right? Anyway, what am I actually talking about today? Now that I've wasted, 3 minutes of what's probably going to be a roughly 15-minute video, maybe. What am I actually going to talk about right now? Well, let's take a look at the 2028 presidential campaign, right? 2028. I know, it's still some time off. Almost 3 years away. Actually, over 3 years away, excuse me. Still more than 3 years out. And, we don't know who's all going to be running. We really only know a couple of people who won't be running, right? People that won't be running will be, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, basically anybody who has already been president, including the current guy who thinks that he has ways that he could get a third term. No, he doesn't. He does not, unless we, the people, allow it. And I, for one, will do everything I can to prevent that from happening, and I would encourage you all to do the same thing. So, who am I favoring at this point in time? Now, keep in mind, a lot could change. A lot could change, But if I had to make a decision right now who I want as the next president of the United States, if I had to make that decision right now, it would be a governor. For those of you who've been following my channel, you know that I'm from Iowa. It would be a governor from one of my neighboring states. One of my neighboring states' governors. Which one? Well, don't know much about the governors of Missouri or Nebraska or South Dakota. What I know about the governor of South Dakota is that whoever it is replaced a puppy killer. That's all I really know about the governor of South Dakota. The governors of Illinois, Wisconsin, and Minnesota I know a little bit more about because, well, those states are closer to where I live than the other three are, right? Because I'm in eastern Iowa. The northern part of, well, the eastern part of northern Iowa, the northern part of eastern Iowa, whatever. I mean, it's all the same thing, isn't it? I'm in northeast Iowa. We'll just leave it at that. So here in northeast Iowa, right, obviously I don't want my governor to be president of the United States, Kim Crow Reynolds. But what, and J.B. Pritzker, he seems to be making some moves, governor of Illinois, seems to be making moves to indicate that he might be running. Tony Evers in Wisconsin is not making those moves. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that I would support either one of those. I don't really have anything against either one of them. But the governor that I would be leaning toward if I were to make a decision right now, today, if I had to make that decision right now for who I want to be the next president of the United States, I would go with Minnesota's very own Governor Tim Walz. Here's why. This guy is a fighter. He will rhetorically punch you in the face if you deserve it, right? You may have heard his comments recently about, bullying the bullies. When he says, what, as a teacher, we hate seeing bullies. And when it's a child, you pull that child aside and explain why bullying is wrong. And he's right. Of course, if you're a child being bullied by another child, you do effectively what Walz, not Waltz. You do effectively what Walz is saying that we should. I just totally lost where I was. That's all right. Basically, he said that the Trump regime is bullying people, right? Which they are. They always have been. Trump has been a bully his entire life, right? And his bullying, it may get Republicans to capitulate. Even the so-called moderates like Lisa Murkowski and Susan Collins, they may be very concerned about what the regime wants to do, but then they vote for it. We have grave concerns, and we're going to vote for those grave concerns. How grave are your concerns if you're going to capitulate every time? Well, Walz called them out for being squishy and ultimately going with the grain. You know, I mean, they should fear their constituents more than they fear the guy that's the guy at the top. That's just the way it should be. I mean, if they care about holding on to their seats, they should definitely care more about what their constituents think than what any other politician thinks. And they should do the right thing. But, you know, a lot of politicians get elected, re-elected on name recognition. But when Walz says, we need to bully the bullies, he's right on that. And it's not bullying, that's actually where I disagree with the governor, is it's not bullying. And I'm not sure that he even meant it as bullying, but that's what he said. It's what he said. I mean, this is a guy who went out there and said about Tesla stocks, I love seeing them drop. And when he was confronted on that, it's like, his response is, I said what I said. What? You know? What are you going to do about it? I said what I said. I meant what I said. I have respect for that. You know, and from a policy perspective, I agree with a lot of the things that he has done in Minnesota. You know, for example, you know, universal school lunch and breakfast, right? You know, that's the main one that I agree with. You know, because kids can't learn if they're hungry. But you know, he went out and said that Donald Trump is a wannabe dictator. It's like, yeah, I said that. You know why? Because he is. That's exactly what he is. So, yeah, I said that. What? And he also said that, you know what? We need to be tough with these guys. We need to fight them. We can't just sit back and just passively, you know, condemn or, you know, write strongly worded letters or, you know, just, you know, say that we don't like it. We have to actually fight back and fight hard. We need to be as tough on them as they are on us, right? And not that I'm an us or them, right? I'm neither Democrat nor Republican. However, I don't see a scenario in which I would ever vote Republican again. I used to be one, and I don't see a scenario where I would ever vote them again, at least in the foreseeable future. But Walz, yeah, I said what I said. What? In fact, we need to not only be as tough on them as they are on us, we need to be tougher. We need to hit harder. When they stand up and punch us in the mouth and try to take our lunch money, no. We need to stand up, laugh at that punch, refuse to give them the lunch money, and then hit back even harder, and then take their lunch money. Okay, don't take their lunch money, but, you know, you fight back. You fight back. And that's why, as of this exact moment, if the decision were to be made right now keep in mind, this is all contingent on who else would enter the race and whether or not I would agree or disagree more with other people that are in the race. And I have nothing against, you know, Kamala Harris or J.B. Pritzker or what's his name, Kelly. I can't think of his first name, out in Arizona, the senator. Or Andy Beshear, governor of Kentucky. You know, I have nothing against any of those. But if I had to make that choice right now, I'd go with Tim Walz. I'll catch you next time.